The first time the Arab prince refused to fly, nobody thought it was serious. The private terminal in Riyadh was quiet in the way only places of extreme wealth ever are: polished marble floors, gold-accented walls, staff moving silently like shadows trained not to exist unless needed. A Gulfstream G700 sat on the tarmac, fueled, inspected, flawless. The prince was scheduled to depart in less than 30 minutes for an emergency diplomatic meeting in Europe. Ministers were already waiting on the other side. Security teams were tense. Every minute mattered. Yet the prince stood still at the bottom of the boarding stairs, hands clasped behind his back, eyes fixed on the aircraft like it had personally offended him. "Your Highness," his chief of staff said carefully, lowering his voice, "everything is ready. The flight crew is complete." The prince didn't move. "Where is Captain Miguel?" The chief of staff hesitated. "Sir," Captain Miguel was reassigned this morning. "The aviation department decided." "I did not ask what they decided," the prince interrupted calmly. "I asked where he is." A bead of sweat rolled down the staffer's temple. He was sent home. Another pilot has been assigned. A very experienced one. Former military. The prince turned slowly, his expression unreadable. "Then I'm not flying." The words landed like a dropped glass. Conversation stopped. Phones lowered. Even the engines on the runway seemed to hum quieter. "Your Highness," the staffer said, forcing a polite smile. "With respect, this meeting will wait," the prince said, "or it will proceed without me. Either way, I'm not boarding that aircraft unless Captain Miguel is in the cockpit." Someone laughed nervously, assuming it was a joke. It wasn't. The prince walked back into the terminal, sat down, and crossed his legs. And that was how one of the most powerful men in the region delayed an international flight schedule because a Filipino pilot was not present. Captain Miguel Santos was at home when the call came. He lived in a modest compound provided to foreign aviation staff, clean, quiet, functional. He had just finished breakfast, already half-dressed in casual clothes, preparing to take a rare day off. The reassignment hadn't surprised him. He was used to changes. That was life in aviation, especially as a foreigner. When his phone rang, he expected it to be another routine notice. Instead, the voice on the other end was shaking. "Captain Santos?" the operations manager said. "Where are you right now?" "At home, sir. Can you come back immediately?" Miguel paused. "I was told I'm off today." "Yes, well, plans have changed. How urgent?" There was silence then. "The prince has refused to fly without you?" Miguel thought it was a prank. "I'm sorry, sir. He will not board the aircraft. He specifically requested you." By name. Miguel sat down slowly on the edge of his bed. "Sir," he said carefully, "there must be many pilots more senior than me." "Doesn't matter," the manager replied. "He says if you are not flying, he is not flying. Security is unhappy. Please come now." Miguel arrived at the terminal wearing his uniform, heart pounding harder than it ever had during turbulence. As he passed through security, he could feel the eyes on him, curious, surprised, some skeptical. He was used to being invisible, just another foreign professional doing his job quietly. This felt different. This felt dangerous. When he reached the boarding gate, the chief of staff spotted him instantly. "There," he whispered urgently. "Captain Miguel." The prince stood. He walked toward Miguel, not hurried, not dramatic, just purposeful. When he reached him, he stopped, looked him in the eye, and nodded once. "Good," the prince said. "Now we can fly." Miguel bowed slightly, unsure what to say. "Your Highness, You don't need to say anything," the prince replied. "Just take us safely to our destination." Like always. Only after the plane was airborne did Miguel begin to understand why this had happened. The prince never spoke much during flights. He preferred silence, books, or quiet reflection. But this time, halfway through the journey, he asked for Miguel to step out of the cockpit briefly. Miguel's co-pilot took control, and Miguel entered the private cabin. "Yes, Your Highness?" The prince gestured for him to sit. "Do you remember our first flight together?" he asked. Miguel nodded. "Yes, sir. 3 years ago." The prince smiled faintly. You landed that aircraft in conditions that would have made most pilots hesitate. Heavy crosswinds, mechanical warning. My advisors were panicking. Miguel remembered it clearly. The warning light, the split-second decision, the weight of responsibility. It was my duty, sir. No, the prince said. It was your character. Miguel didn't respond. The prince continued, since then, I have flown with many pilots. Highly trained, highly decorated. But I noticed something about you. What is that, sir? You never treat my life as cargo? The prince said. You treat it as a responsibility? Miguel swallowed. You check everything twice, the prince went on. You speak calmly even under pressure. And you never forget that there are human beings behind every title. Miguel finally spoke. I was trained that way, sir. In the Philippines, the prince nodded slowly. Exactly. After landing, the news quietly spread through internal circles, not through headlines, not through press releases, through whispers. The prince refused to fly without his Filipino pilot. Some executives scoffed. Others were confused. A few were irritated. One senior aviation official dared to question the decision during a meeting. With respect, he said, this creates a precedent. Preferences like this. The prince cut him off. The precedent, he said coldly, is that competence and integrity matter more than nationality. No one spoke after that. From that day on, Miguel's position changed not on paper, but in reality. Staff greeted him differently. His opinions were listened to. Schedules were adjusted around his availability, not the other way around. But what affected Miguel most was not the status. It was the quiet moments. Like the time the prince overheard another official making a dismissive comment about foreign workers being replaceable. The prince didn't raise his voice. He simply said, Captain Miguel, how many hours of flight time do you have? Miguel answered. And how many years of training? Miguel answered. The prince turned to the official. Replace that. The official never spoke that way again. Miguel remained the same man throughout it all. He still called his family in the Philippines every Sunday. Still sent money home without missing a month. Still ate simple meals. Still thanked ground crew personally. Still prayed quietly before every flight. One night, after a long journey, the prince stopped him before leaving the aircraft. Captain, he said, do you know why I trust you? Miguel shook his head. Because you come from a place where responsibility is taught early, the prince said. Where people learn to carry the weight of others quietly. Miguel thought of his father, a jeepney driver. His mother, a school teacher. Long days, sacrifice, humility. I carry their lessons with me, sir, he said softly. The prince nodded. And that is why I will not fly without you. The story never made the news. But among the staff, among the pilots, among those who witnessed it, it became something else. A reminder. That dignity does not wear crowns. That trust cannot be bought. And that sometimes the most powerful man in the room is the one quietly making sure everyone gets home alive. And somewhere high above the clouds, an Arab prince sat calmly in his seat because a Filipino pilot was at the controls.